gritty determination.
Has the Wild sporting the best record in the West. Never shying away from contact. The Wild have been bloodied, but beaten only once. For a hockey player, these wounds are like a badge of courage. Hey, what time is it? It's Wild Hockey Time on Fox Sports Net. Welcome to America West Arena in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, where the Wild come into tonight's play as the leaders of the Western civilization. Yes, off to their best start in franchise history. Their record puts them in the top spot in the Western Conference. They'll be tested tonight by the Phoenix Coyotes. Hi again, everybody, alongside, no, that's okay, my partner, Mike Greenlay. I'm Mike Goldberg. Welcome to America West Arena and Minnesota Wild Hockey. Back to America West Arena here in Phoenix, Arizona. The Wild with a back-to-back tonight in Phoenix, tomorrow right here on Fox Sports Net against the Colorado Avalanche as we get set for the opening face-off. Tony Amonte, a four-time 40-goal scorer.
And they acquired him just for that reason, to be a leader on this team. He was a captain the last 2 years with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he certainly can be a leader on this club. They hope that he also leads by example.
Well, he signed a big ticket as an unrestricted free agent. He will begin with Shane Doan on the left wing and the young phenom Daniel Briere. Wes Walz, Stephane Veilleux, and Antti Laaksonen will check against the top line of the Phoenix Coyotes. Veilleux with a lot of energy the other night against Chicago in his second NHL appearance, scoring his first point of his NHL career with an assist on a goal the other night in Chicago. Shane Doan comes across the line and leaves for Briere. Gets it right back. Amonte comes in and gets the loose puck for Phoenix. Mitchell and Bombardier defensively to start things out. Daniel Briere wearing number 8. Briere to Amonte. And Amonte will leave on the near side boards to Radoslav Suchy. Behind it's Daniel Briere. Doan's in front. Briere a nifty move to try to move around Walls. Good puck possession here by the top line of the Phoenix Coyotes.
And this is where Phoenix has been good in the first part of this season. Has been in the first period. It's been their consistency throughout the game that has been a problem. As we look at our goaltenders, Manny Fernandez. There's no question about Manny Fernandez's numbers. He has been phenomenal. He has won a couple games, and they hope that he can do the same here this evening. On the other end, Sean Burke injured, Brian Boucher in. They acquired Boucher to hopefully eventually become the #1 guy. We'll see if he can do that starting this evening.
Our starting goaltenders brought to you by Northland Ford. Danny Markov behind the net to Damon Langkow. Mike Johnson has been a pleasant addition to the Phoenix lineup since his arrival a few years back. Cliff Fletcher loves this guy. He's had him in a couple of his stops. Ladislav Nagy, Damon Langkow, and Mike Johnson. Sergei Zholtok, Andrew Brunette, and Marian Gaborik, Teppo Numminen, and Danny Markov defensively for Phoenix. Schultz and Kuba on the ice for Minnesota. Nagy centers, broken up by Schultz. Johnson throws it in front, and Fernandez will hold on. Mike, tonight's Hardy's game plan.
Well, you look at the 3 keys of tonight's game, Mike. Keep shooting. The percentage of shots are going in. The higher percentage are for the Minnesota Wild. They don't get a lot of shots, but they're making them count. And of course, we talked about Manny. He needs to keep up the good numbers that he's had so far this year. And Tony Amonte, we talked a lot about him. We don't want any Tony Awards tonight, and he is the kind of guy who can open up a game. The Wild have to be solid on him this evening.
Matt Johnson is going to have an early go with Andrei Nazarov. No surprise here. Nazarov in the lineup, Johnson, and it did not take long. 1 minute and 31 seconds into the game as Nazarov tries to pummel with the left. And now he connects with a couple of rights, and down goes Johnson. Nazarov, undoubtedly the NHL's busiest fighter when he's in the lineup. His first shift, and he does exactly what he's paid for.
He's made plenty of enemies in the National Hockey League. A couple of very big boys there throwing the bouts, and you said it didn't take long. These guys knew they were going to fight right off the draw. There go the gloves. Not a lot of suspense there, Mike.
No, Johnson made sure that Nazarov wasn't going to goad him into one. Remember Johnson the other night goaded The defenseman,
Strudwick.
Jason Strudwick of Chicago into a 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike.
And that evened up the play, so you can see that Matt Johnson knows when to go and when not to.
So Johnson in the box, and so is Andrei Nazarov. And we will play still 5-on-5, 5-minute majors for fighting. 1 minute, 31 seconds into the contest. The entire first almost 2 minutes has been played inside the Minnesota zone. Third line on the ice now, and Hordichuk feeds towards Johnson. Hordichuk, the hustle play to keep it in. Kelly Buchberger, the veteran, last year was in Los Angeles as Hordichuk finished his check on Cuba. He is an addition with leadership qualities as a former Edmonton Oilers captain. That puck was touched, so there'll be no icing. And Brian Boucher, who took the Flyers to the Eastern Conference Finals just a couple of seasons ago, getting a chance the next few weeks to be the man here with Sean Burke hurt. Parked the first shot on the Phoenix net, and Boucher handles it neatly. Brian Boucher, you know, he was supposed to be the phenom. He was supposed to be the guy. He was great in his rookie year. Then he took the Flyers to the finals, and then Roman Cechmanek came on the scene, and that was the end of that.
20-10-3 in his rookie season with a 1-9 goals against, 4 shutouts, as you mentioned. Did a great job in the playoffs, but as you also said, he did trail off and lost the job and became expendable. And Phoenix was glad to see that because they need him now with Burke out of the lineup.
Sent Robert Esch and Michael Handzus to Philadelphia adds the whistle and a stoppage for icing. Let's check in with Clay Matvick.
Veteran defenseman Darren Quint to a 1-year deal. He had been playing with the Coyotes minor league team in Springfield, but with all the injuries, they needed his help tonight. This is actually his second stint with Phoenix. He played the last 2 seasons in Columbus with the Blue Jackets, and he returns a much happier and healthier Darren Quint, having conquered a drinking problem. Let's head it back upstairs, guys.
Yeah, certainly Columbus took a chance on him, Clay, and he succeeded. Back played a career-high 75 games last year and put up some nice numbers, and he's got some offense to his game. So with the many injuries that have been suffered, especially on the blue line by Phoenix here early, Quint no longer a minor leaguer and playing tonight in the NHL. Mitchell stepping into the play. Ossi Vananen, the most recent to go down with a bruised foot, although the Coyotes think he'll only miss tonight's game. At least they hope so. But this is a banged-up team with 6 regulars out of the lineup here tonight, including Sean Burke. Near side, Cliff Ronning. Ronning spent a couple of seasons in a Phoenix uniform. In fact, signed a free agent contract when he left Vancouver, as the icing is called. And Bob Francis, last year's NHL Coach of the Year.
Well, Bob Francis, part of a bit of a heritage in coaching. Emile Francis, also his father, his Coach of the Year honors. And Francis, of course, as you mentioned last year, with the same thing. And he has his team moving in the right direction, except for the fact that they do have a lot of injuries. He said he does not want to use that as a crutch. Everyone has to step up regardless of what the injury situation is. And he needs that guy right there with the puck to help him do it.
Briere behind the net. Briere, Doan. Doan towards Amonte, broken up nicely by Walls. Wes Walls spins inside the Minnesota zone. Nifty move to get Doan off his back, but Markov steps in. Big drive, and he just misses stick side. Aggressive play by Danny Markov at the blue line, and a good scoring opportunity for Phoenix. Locks in and could not clear past the Phoenix defenseman, and he walked in uncontested. Tony Amonte behind the Phoenix net. Amonte in his familiar uniform number 10. Stick handling through center. Didn't dump it deep though, and Kuba will play it for Minnesota. Gets it over to Nick Schultz. Just the 3rd home game of the season for Phoenix, and they have lost their first 2 home games here at America West.
Well, the turnover here and good forechecking by Phoenix causes Wes Walls to make a bit of a play that he does not want to do. He circles around and stop it right here. Wes Walls will feed it to the D-man, who will go up the middle with it. Let it roll, gentlemen. And it just deflects off of Markov, and he gets the puck on net, or just wide of the net. But it was a great first chance, and as I said earlier, Phoenix has jumped out to 2-0 leads here in the last 2 games. They just have not held on to the last one.
The last one against Colorado, the Wild opponent tomorrow. After 20 minutes, It was Phoenix leading 2-0, and then Colorado ended up winning it on a Mike Keane goal in the third period. The Phoenix Coyotes have yet to win in their home building, where they were very solid, especially down the stretch last season. And always good against the Minnesota Wild, a lifetime record of 4-0 in this building against Minnesota. And we remember the embarrassment last April when the Coyotes defeated the Wild by a final score of 7-1. And don't think Jacques Lemaire doesn't remember that embarrassing evening.
Well, and Jacques Lemaire knows that even this team, even though it started out very good this season, this team, he's still trying to feel, you know, who should go where and who should play in what situations. You look at the lineup this evening, and I think you can see that he's dressed a lot of speed this evening, putting Bouchard, Bayou in, and scratching players like Marshall and Blouin. So I want some speed against the Phoenix Coyotes, who have a lot of speed in their own right.
Ladislav Benesic is in the non-rostered lineup again tonight. Jim Dowd. And now it is played by Brad Brown. Good body check by Brian Savage. And he got the stick up high on Pascal Dupuis. And that is going to be a penalty against Savage. If Dupuis is bloodied, it will be a double minor.
Well, there's been a lot of high sticks the last few games. And I'll tell you, Dupuis, we don't know if he's been cut yet, but it looks like there could be a little more blood. And again, it's the same situation. A guy trying to lift the stick of an opposing player and just missing and coming up and catching him right in the face. And Dupuis did get it up near the eyebrow area. And, you know, talked to Wes Walz this morning. He has 17 stitches in his face on it from a couple of occasions. And, of course, Andrew Brunette has a zipper across his nose, as does Richard Park.
Ronning fakes the dump and sends it in on net off the stick of Boucher and into the netting. So a face-off inside the Phoenix zone. Wild power play, of course, has been a very positive story so far this season.
Well, in every game that they've scored one, Mike, they have won. And it's certainly a positive trend, and it's one they want to continue.
21% on the season on the man advantage. Penalty kill has been good recently. For Phoenix, they've killed 17 of their opponent's last 18 power play opportunities. Claude Lemieux and Tony Amonte up front. Joltok keeps it in. It's Joltok and Bombardier, Pierre-Marc Bouchard, Cliff Ronning, and Richard Park. Joltok, big drive, redirected in front, and Boucher made the save. Joltok again, bouncing puck kicked aside by Brian Boucher, and cleared up off the stick of Tony Amonte.
You know, Cliff Ronning not on the point on this power play, and normally we're used to seeing him play that left point with Kuba on the right side.
Dupuis had to hold up at the blue line. Danny Markov feeds it ahead to Mike Johnson. Johnson, as Cliff Fletcher has said, one of the leaders of the organization here in Phoenix, general manager Mike Barnett, Fletcher working the player personnel angles as he has for years, said Johnson's just the kind of guy that every team needs. And he's a fine penalty killer. Gabrick with speed into the Phoenix zone, taken off his stick by Teppo Numminen, the longtime captain of the Phoenix Coyotes. Gabrick feeds it in front, and it's broken up nicely at the last moment by Radoslav Suchy. 32 seconds left on the high sticking call against Brian Savage. Teppo Numminen tries to clear it out. Sekrish standing in front of Johnson. Gabrick in to help. Played by Kuba. Kuba shot. And it bounces off the backboards, and it is in. It is a goal. That puck bounces off the backboards, off the pad of Brian Boucher, and trickles into the Phoenix net as Minnesota gets an early break.
Oh, some odd bounces around there, Mike. Someone got tripped in front of the net, and as you mentioned, bounces off the backboards, and Boucher doesn't like it. He thought he might have been interfered with in the crease. Some good work along the boards. They get the puck down low behind the net, and eventually the puck will be bouncing around. Dupuis gets dumped in front and actually goes off the skate of their own defenseman. Boucher not very happy at all, but he knows it went off his own player, and I think that we've seen that happen to the Minnesota Wild a couple times this year.
Well, it will be credited as a power play goal. And so Minnesota strikes on their first power play opportunity. Bayou shot, and that's deflected into the seats. Minnesota leads 1-0. Give it to Burnett.
Don't forget to purchase your 50/50
Wasn't it Kuba that? Who did it hit?
Was that? I don't know yet. To do Andrew Brunette will show you in a moment why. Kuba and Gabrick pick up the assists. A power play goal, shot save made by Fernandez. Mike, why does Andrew Brunette get this goal?
Well, it's because he's tenacious for one thing, but also because I think he does get a piece of it in front of the net. There's Brunette, and here's the puck right off the toe of the defenseman's skate, and I think Brunette just jabs it, and it rolls under, right underneath the Boucher, and I thought it went off the defenseman's skate. I was incorrect. It did, in fact, go off of Brunette's stick, and once again, he scored a very big goal.
So he starts things off tonight, his 5th goal of the season. And Andrew Brunette and the Wild undefeated when they've scored a power play goal this year. We talked before about the injuries to this Phoenix team, and there are plenty of them. Sean Burke, of course, is out. Todd Simpson is a week away with a broken hand. Chris Kalanos, who WCHA fans remember because he beat North Dakota when he was playing collegiate hockey. He has a concussion. Drake Barahowski's out till March, and Brad May is out till mid-December. That's a lot to lose for any hockey team.
Yeah, and you can recognize a lot of those names, too, which tells you that they're key figures on this Phoenix team.
Doan comes across the line. And Doan will be pushed into the boards by Willie Mitchell. Briere looks to work it. Shane Doan. Shane Doan in front. And now it is bumped in by Paul Mera. Mera off to a nice start. 3 goals already this year from a guy who normally doesn't provide a ton of offense. Radislav Suchi near side. Phoenix trails 1-0. Minnesota with 5 shots. The Coyotes with just 2 on Manny Fernandez. In front, Gabrick, he scores! A turnover inside the Phoenix zone. Gabrick makes no mistake, and Minnesota leads 2-0.
Some very sloppy play by the Phoenix Coyotes, and when you do that with a line out there like with Gabrick on it, you're going to pay the price. Gabrick just feeds it. Boucher, I don't think Boucher ever touched it. It just got by him, but Gabrick was quick to come off the wall, and he puts it in the bottom corner. Everyone goes to Bouchard, and nobody goes to Gabrick except the puck.
So 4th of the year for Marian Gabrick. Cliff Ronning picks up the assist, and Minnesota scores twice, 1 minute and 20 seconds apart as they lead 2-0. The Wild came in, tied with the Stars and Pens with 10 first period goals, Mike, as Bouchard goes offside. That's second best in the NHL, as the Red Wings had scored 12 first period goals. And as we know, this team is tough to play against Minnesota when they have the lead.
Well, and because they play a certain style, particularly on the road, that gives them good defensive hockey, and it allows them to forecheck like they want to do and create turnovers like we just saw.
So now 12 first period goals for the Minnesota Wild, and it's been the first period that's been kind to the Phoenix Coyotes. As you mentioned, Phoenix had a 2-0 lead over Nashville, just held on to win 2-1, and then squandered a 2-0 lead the other night in their game against the Colorado Avalanche. Perhaps Phoenix wants to play from a 2-0 deficit. A team that last year in this building, or really lifetime in this building, has been dominant against the Minnesota Wild. Wild had only scored 3 goals in this building prior to tonight. Drop pass towards Johnson. Dow takes it off his stick, and Sekerish clears it into the neutral ice.
Well, I think the Wild are clearly trying to tell people by their actions that they're a different hockey team this year, and they're not satisfied. A lot of the players saying, sure, we're out to a great start, but we're not satisfied with everything. We still have a lot to work on with our game.
Across the line, Savage, big shot. Fernandez in perfect position. When you're square to the puck, it makes it look easy. Shot, rebound, shots missed by Landon Wilson. Off the shot by Newman, and the redirection by Brian Savage. Wilson had a good chance there for Phoenix. Kuba drives Savage into the sideboards. He'll leave the puck for Claude Lemieux. Bouchard flips it in the direction of Nick Schultz. Park tries to bump it out, can't do so. Walking in as Darren Quint, he's dragged down. Play goes right on. Newman can't keep it inside the Minnesota zone.
Bouchard got a couple penalties in one of his first or second games where he put the stick between a defender's legs and knocked him down and got tripping call. This time Bouchard used his shoulder and he didn't get called on it.
Bouchard a healthy scratch the last 2 games. Both, as Mike mentioned, Veilleux and Bouchard in the lineup tonight. And there is Stephane Veilleux. Veilleux and Hordichuk collide at neutral ice. Paul Mera chases it down for Phoenix. Brunette his 5th, Gabrick his 4th, 1 minute and 20 seconds apart. And Minnesota has the early lead. Hordachuk and Johnson. Busy night for Matt Johnson. Former Thrashers. Oh, and a big shot by Johnson. Oh, he's hammering with some rights. Johnson dominant in this one against Darcy Hordachuk. And Hordachuk trying to answer. And down they go. Now Hordachuk trying to jumpstart his team. They trail 2-0.
Oh, Steve, I don't think you should hang the bug zapper over the Bud Light. That's really tacky.
Yeah.
Great party. Thank you.
Yeah, this dip is fantastic.
Great. I love these crunchy things on top. Are they caraway seeds?
Yes.
I didn't put anything on the dip.
For the great taste that won't fit up and never lets you down.
Great party, guys.
Fun.
Make it a Bud Light.
One more fight for Matt Johnson, and he'll go to the dressing room for the rest of the night. But this is a good little scrap. They both got some good shots in because we were looking at them in the penalty box during the break here, and they both have some nice little welts that they'll remember.
So Matt Johnson will propel himself near the penalty minute lead for the Minnesota Wild team. Already 2 fighting majors doing his job this evening. Challenged by Hordachuk, challenged by Nazarov, as the Coyotes with just a 3-5 start, trying to jumpstart their emotions. A Monty shot deflected just wide by Briere. He looked to play it off the pad. Manny Fernandez and bank it in, didn't work. Joltok jumps ahead, drops for Laaksonen. He misses on the glove side of Boucher. Amonte tugging on Antti Laaksonen. Tony Amonte, Antti Laaksonen fight for it. Radoslav Suchi picks it up. Phoenix last year made the playoffs. In fact, they were only 4 points back of San Jose for the Pacific Division title, but they were beaten by the Sharks in the first round in 5 games. 40 wins last year for the Phoenix Coyotes. First time with 40 wins since their days in Winnipeg. Amonte stops top of the dots. Amonte works it, feeds it down towards Shane Doan. Doan has always played well against Minnesota. Doan throws it towards the net. It was Damon Langkow trying to get a hit at it. And now the Wild clear it up towards Andrew Brunette. Brunette on the forward line with Marian Gabrick. He stays on. Walls jumps into the play. Cliff Ronning is on the ice. Here is Brunette after the turnover. Brunette can't walk around Danny Markov, and the puck comes back to center.
Creating turnovers, that's what the Wild are doing the best so far this season, and that's what's propelled them to the top of the Western Conference.
Offsides as we check out tonight's Treasure Island Resort and Casino trivia question. Tony Amonte wears uniform number 10. Who was the first player in Coyotes Jets franchise history to wear number 10? I guarantee you Tony DaCosta would know that answer. Tony, at 16 years old, was a stick boy in Winnipeg, worked his way through the Winnipeg organization, came to Phoenix with them, and now working with the Minnesota Wild. I know he knows that answer, but hard to get in touch with him during games. So you tell me, Mike. On the near side. Played by Cliff Ronning. Ronning works it up. Numanen just kept body control on Richard Park. The Iron Fin, Teppo Numanen. As Numanen feeds it across. That would have been a 2-line pass. Instead, it's going to be an icing in the faceoff back inside the Phoenix zone.
Well, Numanen right now is the captain of this Phoenix Coyote hockey team. He was named that last year, did a pretty good job. Not a very vocal guy, not a very loud guy, but certainly someone who stepped up and said the right things at the right time. Sean Burke has been said that he is kind of a captain without being a captain, because goaltenders don't wear the letter on their jerseys, but a lot of good leaders on this team for the Phoenix Coyotes.
Well, there's a lot of guys that have been captains in other venues too, Mike.
Definitely Amonte, as we mentioned.
Dupuis, a shot, glove save made by Boucher.
No, we mentioned Tony Amonte, 2 years with the Chicago Blackhawks, the last 2 years as captain. Todd Simpson, who's injured, is captain of the Flames from 97 to 99. Buck Burger, who's acquired from 95 to 99 with Edmonton, and 99-2000 with the Thrashers. So a lot of captains. But hey, the Wild also have a lot of guys who have had the C on their jersey.
Only difference for the Wild, they've all had the C on their jersey in Minnesota with the rotating captain system. Dowd has worn the C. Brown has worn the C. Bombardier has it now. And of course, Claude Lemieux with an A on his sweater for Phoenix. 4 Stanley Cups with 3 different teams for Claude Lemieux. Signed by Wayne Gretzky, activated basically when Gretzky took over as managing partner. This is a guy who's missed the playoffs only one time in his very well-decorated career. Pretty impressive.
Instant grind, instant grit
Yep.
in your lineup, I'll tell you. He's a guy who makes things happen because he does it the tough way.
Just one of 4 players in NHL history, Mike, to win cups with 3 different teams. And of course, he talked a lot about Jacques Lemaire to Clay Matvick in our open. And you know, the one thing, there was a mutual respect between Claude Lemieux and Jacques Lemaire in New Jersey, because when you're looking for a guy to play the Jacques Lemaire system, you're looking for grit, determination, and in your face, and that's Claude Lemieux. Some guys don't like him being in his face, but he's definitely going to be there.
Yeah, the old adage, you'd rather have him on your team than on the other side, and he exemplifies that.
Savage, a big shot off the face-off win by the aforementioned Claude Lemieux. Gabrick, Numanen. Now it's Marian Gabrick being pushed upon by Teppo Numanen. Wild lead 2-0. Claude Lemieux saying right before he did the interview with us in the open, he's not surprised at all by this fast start for the Minnesota Wild. You could see some semblance of it coming, especially in the preseason. But there were some good games won against quality teams fighting for a playoff position at the end of last year. Teppo Numanen flips it ahead towards Wilson. Onside is Buchberger. He feeds it across and just misses Ladislav Nagy. Buchberger held on to it brilliantly. Nagy could not finish. Ladislav Nagy towards the point. Bouncing puck kept in and dumped in by Palmera. Nazarov. Bouchard. Bouchard to Ronning. Ronning can't get it out. Here's Nagy again. Nagy dancing inside the Minnesota zone. Still retains possession. Tried to feed towards Quinton. That puck sails just wide. 2-on-1 if Minnesota hurries here. Clip Ronning and Richard Park. Park across the line. Park shot, save made, rebound! And Boucher will hold on. Minnesota leads 2-0.
The Minnesota Wild did into their own zone to start an offensive play. You got to love that. Park gets 2 shots. One of them rebound, and a good opportunity for the Wild to go up 3-0.
Veilleux, the shot is wide, and Shane Doan takes it. Radislav Suchi. Tony Amonte. Played by Antti Laaksonen. So Veilleux with some energy on this line with Bill McCult still out of the lineup. 2-line pass called against the Phoenix Coyotes. Now in the end, Phoenix will battle, and many have said this is as well balanced and hard working a team as there is in the National Hockey League.
Well, the Phoenix Coyotes have changed about 9 different faces from the beginning of last season to the beginning of this season. So it really is a different Coyotes team. So when we talk about numbers from year to year, it's kind of tough to compare because it's really apples and oranges. But it has changed, and it will continue to change complexion as they continue to build this team. But there were good results last year, and so I guess you can't argue with some of those changes.
Well, the amazing thing is that during the Jeremy Roenick and Keith Tkachuk era, 3 90-point seasons and no playoff advancements. So changes were made. We'll never change this guy. Clay Matvick downstairs.
Well, I appreciate that, boys. Here's your Bud Light What's on Tap for the first intermission. Tom Jones, our NHL insider from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. He'll talk about the Wild and their hot start and other topics regarding the league. Plus, we're going to break down the first period with stats and highlights. And guys, Andrew Burnett said the Wild haven't put together a whole game this season. Will this be the night? They lead right now 2-0.
Clay, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to hearing from Tom Jones. And Sunday's a big day, you know, in the Star Trib. Tom Jones, NHL insider. But I don't know. I have to get it online or something. We'll be in Denver. Behind the net, Amonte. Briere went down hard, and so Phoenix will have their first power play.
Well, Phoenix can put some numbers out there, and the Minnesota Wild are one of the best teams in the league for not taking penalties. Second in the National Hockey League right now behind Montreal for penalties. They average around 10 a game, which is not too bad. But you look right here and in front of the net there, Richard Park gets his stick up and knocks down Briere. So as they tangle, Park is the one who's guilty, and we'll see what Phoenix has to offer here with the extra man.
Briere, a power play specialist, not on this unit right now as he just had a full shift. Mara, Numanen at the point, Damon Langkow, Ladislav Nagy, and Mike Johnson. 9 power play goals by the Coyotes this year by 9 different players. In front of the net, Johnson. Mike Johnson scores the power play goal just 18 seconds into the man advantage opportunity. His second power play goal of the year.
Boy, was Johnson parked on the doorstep. Not the fleetest of skaters, but boy, around the net, he's shown that he can do the job. And with good puck movement, Langkow will go down low to Nagy, and he'll just jam it in front. And actually, Mitchell gets a piece of it. I think he blocks it, but the rebound comes right out, and Johnson gets it by both of them.
So we talked about Mike Johnson. He came from Tampa Bay in the Nikolai Khabibulin deal, as Langkow fires the wrist shot and he scores here. So both teams cash in on their first power play opportunities. Their only power play opportunities of the game so far. And that makes this a new hockey game as Phoenix fights back to cut the Wild lead in half. 15:58 will be the time of the power play goal. Johnson from Nagy and Langkow. And it's 2-1. That did not take long at all. 18 seconds into the man advantage. Danny Markov ahead to Ladislav Nagy. Brown gets to it first, and the icing is called.
The thing is, we were talking about teams taking penalties. Phoenix is one of the most penalized teams in the National Hockey League, and so you have a kind of differences here between the two teams in terms of the penalties that they take. And so the Wild had to come into this game thinking they may see a lot of power play time.
Well, very disciplined first period by both teams. The majority of the penalties have been fighting majors, which obviously don't result in a man advantage unless there's an instigator penalty tacked on. Kuba. Brian Savage busts around him, and Kuba uses that long reach. Savage still has control of the puck, though. Savage, the former Montreal Canadian, trying to find a comfort level here in Phoenix, because he was not very good when he came into Phoenix last year from Montreal. But we know he is a proven scorer. Savage 49, Lemieux 22. Left for Palmera. Annie Fernandez beaten once in this period. Savage fans on the shot, and Bouchard pushes it ahead. Bouchard going wide on Radoslav Suchy. Stops and waits for Ronning, gives towards Dupuis, and Dupuis mishandles the pass. 2.5 minutes remains in period number 1. Mike Goldberg, Mike Greenlay, Clay Matvick. Our crew from Fox Sports Net. Back-to-backs. We'll be with you again tomorrow on the Pepsi Center in Denver, Colorado. Gabrick through neutral ice to Dupuis. Dropped for Marian Gabrick. Gabrick shot, saved Boucher. In front, the rebound is cleared behind Dan Folk. Dupuis stops. He's on the ice with Dowd and Gabrick. Folk bumps Dowd off the puck. Dupuis fights for possession. Gabrick tried the quick shot. It was blocked by Buckberger. Andre Nazarov, as Mitchell lost his footing at the blue line and now bumps it off the boards and out of danger. Gabrick. Gabrick, Dupuis. Dowd stayed onside. Big drive. He scores! Pascal Dupuis, top of the circles, beats Brian Boucher. His second goal in as many games, and Minnesota leads by 2 again.
Well, Jim Dowd did a great job to stay on side, because a bit of a bobbling puck created a little bit of a slowdown at the blue line. And I think this puck was still rolling when Dupuis shot it, and that might have been what fooled the goaltender Boucher. Oh, I think that did it. Beat him 5-hole. Boy, did that surprise him. Normally you don't see guys score from that far out, especially when there was no deflection or screen. There was any traffic at all in front of the net. And it's 3-1 here.
So 2 non-favorable goals if you're Bobby Francis and the Phoenix Coyotes. The puck finally pounced in by Brunette, and then one there that I'm sure that Brian Boucher would like to have back.
But I think that rolling puck may have had a difference there for him, because when the puck's on edge like that, it does funny things. It acts almost like a baseball sometimes.
Gabrick and Mitchell officially will pick up the assists. Marian Gabrick, Mike, is factored in all 3 Minnesota goals here in the first period.
Well, he had some success against this team last year.
Gabrick has always played well, albeit in losing efforts against this Phoenix team that overall is 5-1-2 against the Wild. And as we mentioned before, the Wild have never won here at America West Arena, being outscored 15-3 in the 4 losses to the Phoenix Coyotes. Nagy feeds behind. Under a minute remains in period number 1. Minnesota leads 3-1. Brunette, Gabrick, and Dupuis, the goal scorers for the Wild. Richard Park, Cliff Ronning. And Ronning feeds ahead towards Zoltok. Delayed offside. Teppo Numminen brings it out. Fernandez gloves and will be forced to hold.
Well, the Wild moving their lines around a little bit. Ronning started the game with Bouchard on his wing. And, you know, we talk a lot about Bouchard. He's young and obviously inexperienced in the NHL. And you put him on a line with a guy like Cliff Ronning, and, you know, the experience of a Cliff Ronning just seems to rub off. And the last game against Chicago, we talked about guys like Calder and Bell. Last year, they played with veterans. And now they're good players in their own right.
Game 9 for Phoenix, and only their third home game, and they'll go back on the road for 3 more. The Rangers, the Islanders, and Philadelphia. Back 9 of their first 12 on the road. And Phoenix has a chance of going the month of October without a home win, as Minnesota leads 3-1 as we come to conclusion here in period number 1. A power play goal for both teams. And then Gabrick and Dupuis even strength for Minnesota.
Well, I know that Phoenix would like to have a couple of those goals back, but they have not gotten stronger as the game's gone on. So we'll see how they react to being down 3-1.
It's Johnson, Nagy, and Langkow, though, that Walls, Loxonen, and company match up with, and thus the quick line change, Mike. You see Zoltok come out for Walls so that Jacques Lemaire can get Walls against the Briere line. Loxonen stays on the ice, though.
And like you said, that's a matchup they don't want, so they make the quick change and get it to a place where they can. That's the thing about the road, is you don't get time to make the matchups that you want, so you make them once the puck is safely in the offensive zone.
Okay, so now Amonte is on. Let's see how this matches up. See if Walls comes on for a double shift. Yep, Walls is getting set to jump back on the ice. Loxonen has the puck, lost it, as Danny Markov will try to clear it out. Markov's stick goes flying. In fact, it was broken down near the blade, and he's trying to get over to the bench to get some new lumber dumped in by Minnesota.
Against Dallas, Modano's line did not mind the matchup until it started to hurt them. Then they made some changes. At Detroit, Fedorov line, you saw that they just didn't care all the way through. But I tell you what, here they don't want the Amonte line up against the Walls line, so they keep trying to change it up.
Wild single game tickets are on sale now at the XL Energy Center box office, the Hockey Lodge at the Mall of America, and at all Ticketmaster locations. By phone, call 651-989-5151 or log on to wild.com. Good seats still remain. Halloween night against the San Jose Sharks. Wild at home on Tuesday against the Colorado Avalanche. Then on Thursday, Halloween night, the aforementioned Sharks game. And then on Saturday against Vancouver. So if you look at tonight, Phoenix, although they're banged up a bit as a playoff team, Mike, then you go against Colorado back-to-back, #2 team in the Western Conference last year. Then San Jose. Many believe San Jose, now they have Nabokov, can win the West this year. And Vancouver, before heading out west, that's a tough run.
Does not get easier, and that's why you need to win the ones that you can, such as this one where you run into a team that has run into injury problems.
So it is indeed the matchup that Coach Lemaire wants, with Walls now going into the offensive, but he's up against Daniel Briere and his line mates. Big drive, save, and a long rebound, bounced over the stick of Richard Park. Walls is off. Savage has the puck for Phoenix. Just underway here in the second. Savage leaves for Daniel Briere. Briere wearing number 8. Scored a lot of goals on the power play last year. 12 of his goals came with the man advantage last season, as he broke out with a huge year. In front of the net, rebound, and Fernandez able to push it aside. Amonte, Savage, and now Briere have had good pressure, and Amonte will shoot from anywhere, but Fernandez was there.
Now Manny smartly covers this one up. You know, Manny Fernandez, you can tell quite often whether he's starting or not just by his demeanor the day of the game. And, you know, a lot of goaltenders do have that type of demeanor on the game day. It used to be a lot worse for Manny when it was kind of like two different people. Now he has a little bit of fun on game day, but he's still focused on what he has to do, and he's played pretty solid in this game. Just made the saves he's had to.
Trying to match his career best of a 5-game win streak that he had from December of 2000 to early January of 01. When the Wild had their 9-game unbeaten streak in their inaugural season. And for Manny Fernandez, it has been the start that everyone hoped it would be. A .947 save percentage. Manny has talked, and the thing that I appreciate, he's talked very honestly about where he struggled and why he felt he was struggling in the past.
Well, you know, I remember watching him all the way back when he was in the International Hockey League with the Houston Aeros. And, you know, same type of situation, but he certainly has grown since then.
Shot in front, Doan, loose puck, couldn't finish. And the Wild are forced to clear it down the length of the ice again. Boucher does not touch, Newman does. and so another icing. Where have you seen Manny grow the most?
Well, obviously it's in the mental part of the game, because I've always thought he's a tremendous goaltender and uses that butterfly style very well. He looks very natural in that style. But obviously for a goaltender, if he has the skills, you have to ask yourself, from skills from year 1 to skills from year 2 and so on to year 3, what has changed? The skills haven't changed because we know he can do it. Something else must have changed, and now he's changed it back.
Doan works it in front. So a little shake-up in the lines by Bobby Francis. Doan moves down. Savage moves up. Doan is on this line right now with Claude Lemieux and Landon Wilson. Landon, of course, the son of Rick Wilson, back to an assistant in Dallas. Rick with North Star ties and North Dakota ties. Landon Wilson on the near side boards. Wilson also played collegiately at North Dakota, as his father did. He was the 93-94 WCHA Rookie of the Year for the Fighting Sioux. Shane Doan, Alberta native, can't get it deep. Wilson on the forecheck, and the Wild bumping out of the zone. Dupuis with a head of steam in on Darren Quint. Clay told the story of Quint, signed to an NHL contract just today by Mike Barnett and the Coyotes. And in the lineup tonight, Lemieux feeds it, and Doan drives towards the net. Manny Fernandez forces the stoppage in play. Some of his saves this year could be termed spectacular.
He has made a lot of tremendous ones here in the first game of the year against Boston. He played very well in that hockey game. Dallas were frustrated by them, especially Madonna on that short side chance. And of course, Craig Conroy was just absolutely robbed by the glove of Manny Fernandez. That eventually an overtime win, with Ronning scoring the OT winner. So Manny Fernandez has done the job. He's made the spectacular save, he's made the regular save, and he's held his team in there.
Trying to make another one in traffic, and he does run over. Shot, oh, gloved beautifully by Philip Kuba. Phoenix crashing the net. The puck was going towards the back of the cage, and Kuba gloved it. Feed towards Gabrick. He scores! Oh, Marian Gabrick busts to the near side post, receives a perfect cross-ice pass, and gives the Wild a 4-1 lead.
Wow, what a job by Gabrick driving to the net, but not before a save is made. One, and I think Manny makes another one with the pads here, and then picked up on the glove by Kuba. And then look at Brunette throwing a little interference in front, and Gabrick on the back door. Everyone thinks it's going to Brunette, but it goes right through him. And Gabrick on the back door, as I mentioned, puts it upstairs. Now Mike has figured in all 4 Wild goals in this hockey game.
What a great pass by Nick Schultz, breaking in and streaking down the left side. A cross-ice pass to Gabrick on the post, busting to the net. Schultz gains the assist. Gabrick gets his second goal of the game, and Minnesota in control 4-1, gloved by Fernandez. This game reminiscent, although the other team is winning tonight, of the 7-1 shellacking placed upon the Wild last year by these very Phoenix Coyotes.
The thing is, so far this year, Phoenix has shown a tendency to play solid in the first period and then dwindle as the game goes on. Coming into this game, they allowed 5 goals in the first, 8 in the second, and 11 goals in the third, which show that they're allowing more chances and goals as the game grew. But in this hockey game, obviously it's right off the hop here, and now they're going to try and flip it around and see if they can turn things around. But 4-1 here for the Wild, and the Wild playing their game, playing their system.
So those who have stayed up late with us tonight have enjoyed a good show on Fox Sports Net. Tomorrow night, we'll come a little bit earlier from Denver, Colorado. It's Saturday, so no school tomorrow, so let the kids watch a little Wild hockey. Johnson kept it in at the blue line for Phoenix. Given to Paul Mara behind the net to Ladislav Nagy. Nagy coming over from St. Louis in the trade for Keith Tkachuk. Jeff Tafe, the Gopher, signed, of course, by Phoenix. He's in the minors now, though. Tafe has played 3 games this year for Phoenix. He was also part of that Tkachuk deal that sent the former captain of the Coyotes and longtime regular in Winnipeg to the St. Louis Blues. Johnson bumps it up and out of the zone. Mitchell will chase down. 15:05 remains, a whistle and a stoppage in play.
Let's take a look at that last goal, because it was interesting. Schultz will carry it in, and just now stop it right here. Here's Marian Gabrick. The goaltender and the defenseman will be looking at Brunette. Let it roll. And they'll all be looking at him. No one sees the backdoor play of Marian Gabrick. So you have 2 guys driving to the net. And what it does is it gives you options on the offense, but it also makes it tricky event for the goaltender and the defenseman because they don't know who to look for, who to go to. It could have gone to Brunette, but it didn't. It went to Gabrick. And now we look at Veilleux in the box, who just took a penalty.
Holding the stick is the call against Stephane Veilleux. 4:55 into the period. Brian Boucher. Boucher coming over from Philadelphia in exchange for Robert Esch and Michael Handzus. Remax power play opportunity number 2 for the Phoenix Coyotes. They scored just 18 seconds into their first power play tonight. Their only goal of the night by Mike Johnson. Across the line and into the Minnesota zone. Briere, remember I said he's a big power play specialist. Teppo Numminen, the power play quarterback. Mara gives to Tony Amonte. Amonte on the near side. Amonte last year with 6 power play goals. He's had larger production in the power play department during his career. Nearly 100 power play goals in his career for Tony Amonte.
And Amonte right there just blasted one at the net. I think he was hoping to get Shane Doan to deflect it, but it does deflect up over the glass, and so faceoff will come out outside the zone.
Tony Amonte, 9 years with the Chicago Blackhawks, averaged 37 goals a season over the past half dozen years, and of course has not missed a game in eons, playing in consecutive game number 419 tonight, the NHL's Iron Man.
It's rare that you don't see him factor in a game because he is the kind of player that really does break things open.
548 games since he was actually struck in from the lineup due to illness or injury. He was a healthy scratch in New York a number of years back, right before a playoff run. Or his streak would be at nearly 600 games, or at least 550, 548. Ladislav Nagy, tied up by Lubomir Sekeric. 37 seconds left in the penalty against Veilleux, and the Wild able to clear. 15 shots for the Wild, 12 for the Coyotes. We've played over 6 minutes here in the second period, and Gabrick has scored for Minnesota. Johnson goes into the Minnesota zone. Nagy. Nagy bumps it back towards Johnson. Mitchell was right on him. Ladislav Nagy. Nagy tries to move it ahead. Gabrick almost slipped to the side. Markov back to Nagy. Gabrick, good hustle. Marian Gabrick in a penalty-killing role allows Jim Dowd the time to clear.
And he's done that for a couple games now, Marian Gabrick. He's doing a pretty good job of it, just expanding the role of a player that really factors in offensively, as we've seen this evening, but now defensively as well.
Good lead pass by Markov, mishandled by Nazarov. And this power play comes to conclusion. Wild kill it off. So Minnesota sends Phoenix to a 1-2 effort thus far with the man advantage. Nazarov bumps in. Darcy Hordachuk and Nazarov have both fought Matt Johnson in this hockey game. Spin shot by Nazarov, knocked down. Dupuis able to push it out to center. Locks it in, hit by Hordachuk. Darcy Hordachuk, acquired from the Thrashers at the trade deadline last year. Shot towards Fernandez. He holds on, and we will step aside.
The game in Chicago on Thursday night, he was hit in the face with a puck. He already had 5 stitches above his eye, so a total of 17, prompting him to consider skating with a visor tonight. He skated with it in practice this morning and told me he didn't like it. It skewed his vision. So despite the chance he could reopen that cut, no visor tonight. Mike and Mike, that is old-time hockey.
It is. In fact, Wes said to me on the plane last night when I looked at him, I said, nice melon. He goes, a face only a mother could love. And right now that is the case. Also, an update on the stitches, and Clay and I were talking about this. I guess the couple were coming out in the hotel room, so Walsey pulled a few out. So 17 down, maybe down to 14 and a half, you know. That thread is loose. I think I'll cut it off. Shot, broken stick. Right in the shaft area. Savage shot, save, rebound, and another save. And another save by Manny Fernandez. Oh my!
Manny just kept that stick, that paddle on the ice, the pads square, the shoulders square. There's nothing to shoot at but the crest on the front of his jersey.
How good was that? That shot actually, because of the way it trickled, set up an opportunity for Briere in front of the net. And a couple of swings at it for the Coyotes. Briere's going to take a swing into the penalty box, dragging down Marian Gabrick. Wow, this is some serious goaltending.
Well, the best saves really were the first couple of saves. And Fernandez has Amonte in front and Briere in front. The shot, good toe save, then a save off Amonte, then Briere just goes to town. He gets 3 whacks at it. And the penalty coming up, Gabrick gets the jump on Briere, and Briere just puts the hook in his hip.
So Briere sits down. The Wild are 1-for-1 with the man advantage. 8:43 the time of the hooking call against Daniel Briere. Briere last year, that breakout season, with 32 goals. Brunette shot, save made by Brian Boucher. Is Brunette able to sneak in on the near side post?
I tell you, the Wild this season really are making great passes on the power play, and that is one of the keys. When you can control the puck, you can get some better chances, and that puck went point to point down to Brunette, who had a chance on the short side and maybe even got a little bit of a whack on the rebound. But controlling play is very important, and good passes are the start of it.
Bombardier shot pushed aside by Boucher. Now it's Sergei Zholtok in a point position. Zholtok, Dupuis. Dupuis fed in front. Puck is still free. And Lemieux will be able to clear it up, but not out. Suchi, though, off the deflection. Remember, Jacques Lemaire said in training camp after the first day, you can tell we have more playmaking ability the way the puck was moved around. And that was with 60 guys around still, Mike. He said that wasn't how it was in year one. And you see it especially evidenced on the power play. Quickly to Gabrick from Brunette. Brunette on the near side boards. Brunette, Gabrick. Gabrick shot. All were deflected just wide of Boucher. And moved up and out of the zone by Paul Mera. Dupuis at center, tries to work around Markov. Brunette jumps in. Johnson hustles to the puck first. Brunette on Johnson. Johnson able to bring it out himself. A nice individual effort by Mike Johnson. Johnson will come across the line. Johnson fired it just wide of the net. Danny Markov has it now. Markov into traffic, and Fernandez will freeze. 37 seconds left in the power play. This fall, get your NFL fix with the most outrageous, unpredictable NFL pregame show you've ever seen. Introducing the NFL show on Fox Sports Net. So start your NFL weekend with the NFL show, presented by the U.S. Postal Service, tomorrow morning at 9:30 Central, right here on Fox Sports Net. Face off to the right side of Manny Fernandez. Buckberger wins it. Suchi, his shot was blocked by Ronning. Sekerish back to Kuba. 28 seconds left on the man advantage. Briere in the box for hooking. Minnesota leads 4-1. Dan Focht. Now it is Buckberger. And Kuba can't keep it in at the blue line. Wild must retreat. Lemieux. That pass was behind him. He could have been hammered by Sekerish, but instead Sekerish got puck possession. Kuba shot blocked by Buckberger. Now it's Bouchard from the bad angle. Pad save made by Boucher. Running a drive, and Boucher was there. Wild peppering Brian Boucher at the end of this power play opportunity. So the Wild, as are the Phoenix Coyotes, now go to 1-for-2 on the power play tonight. Brad Brown will play. Brown headmans the puck towards Stephane Veilleux. Veilleux trying to pester Radoslav Suchi. Suchi tops last year on this Phoenix team at a very impressive +25. And it's moved ahead by Savage. Amonte down the wing. Shot. Glove saved by Fernandez. Fernandez saw it all the way.
There you go.
Excellent. Thank.
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Thing's got some zip on it.
Where 1-0. Dale Hawerchuk. From 81 to 1990, what a player Hawerchuk was. Big stud in Winnipeg. Shot from the point. Rebound, Briere. Puck is still free. And pushed aside by Walls. Phoenix starting to get some opportunities on Manny Fernandez. Walls the drop pass to Loxton, and he fires high, and Boucher will hold on.
A great job, though, by Wes Walls. Centerman right down on top of the crease, helping out. And he eventually is the one that does clear it. But the shot, the save, and a bit of a rebound, and that's where you need to take the body on someone. And Bombardier gets spun around a little bit, but the rebound eventually picked up by Walls and cleared out of the zone. So good job by Manny. Didn't give a big rebound, but sometimes when the player is right on the doorstep, anything that falls right down in front of you will be dangerous unless you can kick it out further.
Mitchell. Nagy lost his stick. Mitchell keeps control of the puck, though, as Willie Mitchell pushes it down. Andrew Brunette. Here's Marion Gabrick. Gabrick being bumped by Damon Langkow. Now Newman will try to work on Brunette. Brunette tries to stay with it, wheel it around. Thrown down by Newman and pushed ahead by Johnson. Dumped in by Langkow. Off the glass, Gabrick will try to push some speed through neutral ice. Wild lead 4-1. Marian Gabrick factoring in all 4 Minnesota goals. 2 goals and 2 assists tonight for Gabrick to jump into the scoring lead for the Wild. Nagy stepping in. Pushed off his stick by Philip Kuba. 3-on-2 if Minnesota hurries. Zoltok, Gabrick. Oh, Gabrick almost knocked it in for the second hat trick of his career. Brunette across, broken up by Danny Markov. 7:25 remains in the game, second period. Nagy across the line to Markov. He fakes the shot, pushes it in front, and Dupuis will get it out. Palmera, and now it's Kuba. 20 shots, Mike, and we are just past the midway point. 20 shots for each team. Suchi dumped ahead. It'll be chased down by Dow. Doan hustling towards the puck for Phoenix. In front, Lemieux trying to dig it. Dupuis can't clear. Dan Folk plays. Folk wearing number 37. Folk look to center. Still trying to work the puck. Phoenix all over the Minnesota net right here.
And this is one of the lines that they want to see going. Third and fourth lines they have not been clicking like they've wanted them to. And right there, almost with a goal after their pressure around the crease.
Darren Quint, played by Lemieux. Claude Lemieux, big wrist shot saved by Fernandez.
Well, Lemieux getting in there, and he's a big, solid guy, and he's not easy to move from in front of the net. Philip Kuba had a lot of fun with him in front of the net, but just by continuing cycling the puck and putting it in front of the net, and the strength of Claude Lemieux in front, created some havoc, and that's what he does best. He's a tough guy to get out of the way, and he works well along the walls and in front of the net. Now you see some good numbers for that effort.
95 Conn Smythe Trophy Award winner. Missed the playoffs that one time in his career, as we mentioned. That was a couple of years ago when he played the end of the season with Phoenix. He has been a winner everywhere he has been. 86 with the Habs, 95 with the Devils, 96 with the Avs, and 2000 back with the New Jersey Devils. Stanley Cups. 4 rings for Claude Lemieux. Out of the zone, Phoenix brings it. Park brings it right back in for the Wild. Hordichuk, not to be confused with Howardchuk. I know who wore number 9 in Winnipeg first. Buckberger. That was the WHA days too. Sekarich. 72-79 Winnipeg, the Jets in the WHA, and then moved over to the National Hockey League. They've been in the desert for many years now. Oh, Hordichuk came in with the hands up high and hammered Sekarash. He just waves over towards the officials looking for a call. Boucher. 5:24 remains in period number 2.
Well, when nothing else is working, Mike, teams get physical, and that's if Phoenix wants to jump back in, that's what they need to do, and they've been putting the hits out a little bit here in the last couple of shifts.
Stephane Veilleux. Now it's Loxinen, pushed aside by Boucher. Veilleux keeps it, leaves for Loxinen. Walls wanted the one-timer. Suchi stepped in and defensively pushes it ahead to Andre Nazarov. Walls runs into Nazarov. Kind of like running into a wall for Walls. Lubomir Sekarash wanted the call a moment ago.
May have gone to the locker room, and we're not sure whether it's equipment related or injury related. But we'll let you know as soon as we know.
Shot, save, rebound, Gabrick, Walls, he scores! And now Marian Gabrick has factored in 5 Minnesota goals. And that is a new franchise record. Oh my goodness. Who has him on their fantasy team?
Wow. Well, Wes Walls does a good job of driving in the middle and getting his stick down in order to chip it over Boucher's arm. Briere just can't corral him in time, and my goodness, these guys are on fire. It's 5-1.
This is one of the loudest arenas in the league. Gabrick shot. Oh my, what a turnover by Phoenix.
And who to turn it over to? A guy who has 5 points on the night.
I was just about to say, this is one of the loudest buildings in the league, and it is absolutely silent here in Phoenix tonight. Gabrick had it poked off his stick. Walls from Gabrick and Dupuis. 15-11 of the period. 5 points on the night for Marian Gabrick. He is the front runner for player of the game. Oh, you can laugh out loud. It's okay.
At this point, I'm supposed to laugh.
No, and seriously, he is. He's the front runner for player of the game.
I think I'll second that motion.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. 16 minutes have been played here in the period.
The understatement did not hit me quick enough.
Well, you know, I can go slower. Newman pushes it aside, and Savage tries to bring it up for Phoenix. Johnson across the line. Wild defensively hold Phoenix and draw the Coyotes offside. Cliff Ronning.
Cliff Ronning said that he loves the way that Lemaire started coaching right from day one, and I mean right from day one in training camp. And Ronning also likes the way that he breaks everything down into separate portions of a system, and so everyone learns it properly, then puts everything together. He says it's really helped everybody learn.
Dowd into the zone, in on Newmanen. And it'll be played by Teppo Newmanen. Jim Dowd, they fight for puck possession. Newmanen winds it around. Minnesota 5 goals on 21 shots. 2 goals by Gabrick. Brunette, Dupuis, and Walls have also scored, as the Wild have broken this one open. Cliff Ronning. Ronning trying to work the puck into the center ice area, or the center of the net, as Dowd looks for it. Langkow ahead to Ladislav Nagy. Nagy drop past Johnson, back to Nagy. Nagy shot, save Fernandez.
Fernandez just standing his ground. There's some fairly good passing when Phoenix does get down into the below the hash marks area, and Fernandez is just standing his ground, not making the first move. A good little play here. Just a little drop pass. Another little give and go, and the shot. Look at Fernandez. He did go down early, but there's nothing to shoot at because he's about a foot on the top of his crease.
Face off behind the net. Fernandez pushes it aside. This game may go down in the papers tomorrow as a blowout if the Wild can hold on to what is a 4-goal lead. But Mike, you know what? Think back to the huge save that Manny Fernandez made when it was 3-1 early in this second period. Schultz, Gabrick, and Brunette fired back down in transition. Gabrick scored to make it 4-1. So while you think offensive explosion, lopsided game, was a huge game-turning save made by Fernandez early here in the second.
Well, there's a lot of flip-flop plays like that.
Oh, another fine save off a good drive by Markov. It's Doan. Lemieux ahead to Wilson, and Phoenix is offside again. Frustrating night for the home team, who has not won here at home yet.
And the thing is, you mentioned about a good play at one end and a goal at the other. That happens quite often in this blast from the point, and Fernandez will kick that right toe out, way out, challenging. But that happens because players think they're going to score. They see a great opportunity. All of a sudden they don't. There's a quick letdown, but by the time they realize there's a transition going the other way, and that's what happened on that goal that you said was scored to make it 4-1.
So Gabrick sets a franchise record with a personal best 5-point game. He had scored 4 points prior with the game back in March 10th of 2002 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. But he has 5 points here tonight. Brad Brown has the puck for Minnesota. Under 2 minutes remains here in the second period. A period dominated by the Minnesota Wild.
And the Wild players, if you ask them, they'll tell you, yeah, we had a 3-0-3 start last year, and yeah, it fell off the pace a little bit, and we have had a good start this year. The difference, though, the Wild players say that we're earning these. We're really earning these. These wins aren't because of a few lucky bounces. They aren't because of any other reason other than the fact that we're working hard, playing well as a team, and we're doing the little things right. Good defensively, that creating some opportunities down at the other end of the ice. It feels good. That's where you draw your confidence from, when you know that your work is creating those victories.
Well, it has a good chance of being a successful road trip with the Wild already defeating the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center 2 nights ago. 141, a big body check. Veilleux.
He got more of the glass than the player, but you got to like it, his intensity.
Veilleux, now Buchberger on him. Kelly Buchberger lost his stick. Nazarov, he came in high with the elbow, and play goes right on. Nazarov, a couple of pushes to the backside of Veilleux, and Stephane Veilleux, the youngster, able to keep his composure. Nazarov is just a truck, man. On 6'5", he is a big, big boy. Dowd. Markov pokes at him, and Buchberger pokes the puck ahead. Hordichuk trying to get it past Willie Mitchell, couldn't do so. Here's Antti Laaksonen, fed quickly to Veilleux by Jim Dowd. Andre Nazarov brings it through center. Under a minute remains here in the period. Bombardier steps in to move it ahead for Minnesota. Newman gets it across. 5-1. Minnesota Wild lead. As Marian Gaborik has had a heck of a night, he will visit with Clay Matvick in our second intermission, and justifiably so.
I'm curious to see what he's going to say. What do you say? You know, you had to ask him, how does he better last year, or how does he react to the 30 goals that he got last year and the growth that he had last year? Well, you hope that the answer to that question is the actions of a game such as this, where you just continue to grow and you continue to get better.
Newman brings it around the far boards to Tony Amonte. Amonte across the line to Lemieux. Well, in a night where we thought the 10 that would shine could be newly acquired Tony Amonte, the $24 million man, it has been Marian Gaborik's night, the young number 10 of the Minnesota Wild. 2 goals and 3 assists as Gaborik has the puck. Remember, Gaborik only had, what was it, Mike? I think 6 shots through his first 3 games. And things were a bit slow. Well, he's on fire now. And he's put together a couple of multiple-point games here recently.
Well, the train keeps on rolling here for the Wild. They just have to play some good defensive hockey here in the third, and they can make this an already successful road trip.
As miserable a night it was at the end of last season, losing 7-1, the Wild is set in the locker room after 40 minutes. Or the leaders, perhaps it was just very silent. Bombardier, Mama said there'd be nights like this. Interference, that is the perfect example of obstruction interference. Suchi knocks down Gaborik, and the Wild are going to have the man advantage 16 seconds in.
Only the 3rd power play of the game here for the Minnesota Wild. They're 1 for 2. Suchi goes to the box. Well, take a look at Gaborik, and he'd be a good guy to grab a hold of, because that again, and he actually drew a penalty in the first period on Briere in the exact same manner by chipping the puck off the wall and driving around the player. That's a very good method to draw a penalty these days because of the obstruction rules.
Johnson trying to move it out. Now it's Zoltar. And played by Bombardier. Bombardier through neutral ice to Zoltar, and he pokes it into the zone. Ronning in on Newman. Power play opportunity for Minnesota. Trying to add on to this 5-1 lead. Pierre-Marc Bouchard. Cliff Ronning. Brad Bombardier, Sergei Zoltar, Stephane Veilleux. Here is Damon Langkow. Langkow fakes the shot, brings it back and holds. Lemieux jumps into the play. Bouchard brings it out. Langkow, number 11. Had 3 shorties last year. Veilleux sends it down. Dan Folk plays it around. Amonte tries to play it out. To the loose puck first was Veilleux, but Mara plays it nicely off the glass. Fernandez, oh, that was risky with Amonte coming at him. 25 shots for the Coyotes, 23 for the Wild. Gaborik, once the puck comes across the line. Gaborik shot, oh, he hit the post. Gaborik rips it off the iron, looking for his 3rd career hat trick.
Wow, do you see the jump in his step when he came across that blue line? And he does rifle this one, and it makes a little bit of a noise. Let's listen to this one.
Wow. He can shoot the puck, and he did there a moment ago. I'm somewhat surprised Boucher is still in this game, Mike. I was looking for Patrick Desrochers to come out in the 3rd. You know, not just a jump start or take a guy out when he's had a tough night. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Sean Burke out for a month with a high ankle sprain. One report was there was ligament damage. Burke went to get a second opinion. That doctor said there wasn't. Nonetheless, he's going to be out for a while. But Boucher was a #1 before in Philly. Hasn't been a good night for Boucher tonight, though.
And I think Francis is looking at this as a team effort in terms of giving up chances. I mean, Gabrick could have scored another one in the second period. Remember when they gave it up right in front of the net? So there's been a lot of giveaways by Phoenix. So I don't think he's really looking at his goaltender as much as maybe we think.
Kuba had the shot blocked. Kelly Buchberger, the veteran. Buchberger in on Manny Fernandez. Oh, the save by Fernandez. Buchberger working down the length of the ice. In pursuit was Kuba, and Fernandez able to kick it aside. Radoslav Suchi. Buchberger has not the same gears that he used to. As Newman in touches and the icing is called.
Well, the breakaway from the turnover at their offensive blue line. And Kuba tries to feed this one through. It does not happen. But watch what Kuba does right at the end of this play. He'll tap Buchberger on the elbow right as he's shooting. I don't know if that really threw him off that much, but maybe enough to thwart the chance, and Fernandez took the rest of it.
Now Fernandez able to make that save, and the Wild continue to lead. Wild travel tonight from Phoenix to Denver, and then tomorrow night they face off against Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, and the Colorado Avalanche.
Back to back.
Yeah, and Avalanche have been off since their Thursday night win in this building, a 3-2 victory over these very Phoenix Coyotes. So they are well rested. In fact, talking to some of the Coyotes personnel, they said that when Forsberg and Sakic decided to take over the game in the second and third period, they did so single-handedly, helping Colorado fight back from a 2-goal deficit. Wild 1-9 lifetime against the Avs, but the Wild coming into this season had never won at America West Arena, being outscored 15-3, and had defeated the Coyotes only once. Here's Ronning. Ronning across the line, tried to feed it to Park. Darren Quint breaks it up for the Coyotes. Lemieux across the line. Lemieux quickly feeds towards Brian Savage, and they cannot connect. Savage busting to the far side post.
You know, you get the feeling that Claude Lemieux really knew what he was talking about when he said that they're still trying to find right combinations here because they've had to insert so many different people in the lineup and switch things up so much. And so these guys aren't necessarily playing each line as a unit because they haven't had the opportunity to.
By a stoppage in play, some interesting, I think, interesting Phoenix notes. The last few years, this is not counting last year, Mike, the Coyotes got off to great starts. In 98-99, they started out with 14 wins in their first 18 games. Did about the same the next year, and then 2 years ago, they were 13-7, 6-0 to start the season, only to miss the playoffs after their best start ever, a 12-game unbeaten streak. Last year, they started very averagely, and they made the playoffs. So fast starts obviously help, but that's not always the case.
And that was the surprise.
Yep. And you know what else? Nazarov getting the shot on net. Vancouver, the same thing. Vancouver was very average, but one could argue the two best teams in the Western Conference after Christmas last year were the Vancouver Canucks and the Phoenix Coyotes.
It reminds me of one of your favorite sayings. It's not a sprint.
It's a marathon. It's a grind.
It is for the players.
It is.
Penalty coming up.
Yep.
Charging.
Hordichuk.
Well, you know, you're talking about the success they had last year, and only the Red Wings and the Blackhawks had lost fewer home games than the Phoenix Coyotes last year. Last year, the Coyotes were 27, and they lost only 8. Well, this year they have, as you mentioned, not won at home, and if they don't win this evening, which it certainly looks like, they will not have won in the month of October this year.
Well, they own the most points. Try that again. They earned the most points in the NHL after the Olympic break in those final 23 games. Bobby Francis right now shaking his head a bit. You know, he said, as you mentioned, they're not going to let the injuries be a factor here, but certainly a big win for the Wild is 15 minutes away right now. It is played up towards Mike Johnson. Johnson, big drive. That's well wide glove side of Manny Fernandez. Swept over by Andrew Brunette to Sergei Zholtok. Bodies are flying now. Phoenix just trying to get some emotion, try to build some momentum for their forthcoming 3-game road trip. But take nothing away from this Wild team tonight. And Gabrick with his jump trying to walk through Darren Quint. Bombardier able to keep it in. 1:20 on this power play opportunity. Gabrick, Zoltok. Gabrick with 2 goals tonight, looking for his 3rd career hat trick. His other 2 came last year in year 2 against Atlanta and Columbus. Brunette tried to feed it and then hammer at it. Now it is held by Marian Gabrick. Brunette, Gabrick. Gabrick holds far side boards. Shot by Gabrick, saved by Boucher. In front, Zoltok, and that was knocked down. Gabrick to the point and Ronning. Ronning, big drive. Oh, puck is still free. Oh, it's in. It is in. That is another assist for Marian Gabrick. He has factored in all 6 goals here tonight.
And I believe the goal will go to Andrew Brunette, his 2nd of the evening, and his 2nd on with the power play this evening. So these guys are lighting it up, and they just kept dominating around the crease. A couple of good deflections, and just stayed with it. Gabrick will get it back up top, and then it comes back down low. The rebound just goes through Brian Boucher, and that was not a very good effort on that shot because he could see it all the way. He just bobbled it, and it fell down between his legs.
You know what? That's the 2nd one that he's not been able to play very well. The first one scored by Brunette.
He's not picking them up off the stick for some reason. I'm not sure why, but he's definitely fighting the puck this evening.
Not a bright night for the young man who a few years ago with the Flyers turned into top goals against average for a rookie in 50 years. And now the Coyotes are going to react accordingly. This one could get ugly in the next 14 minutes and 2 seconds.
Now there is a lot of time left in this game, and when it's this wide open, you ought to be careful what happens. And I think Mara walked in there and got his stick up on Brown, if that's who it was. And Johnson obviously out there. He's been in 2 fights this game already. 1 more and he will get a game misconduct, but he will do it if he has to. We certainly don't want to lose him. There's the man of the evening, Marian Gabrick.
Front runner for player of the game.
Yeah, front runner still. You know, that assist helped his effort to help this bid, I should say. Just a great chance, but a little bit of pushing and shoving. Brown and Dupuis took another one in the chops. He took a high stick earlier in the game, and he took another one. This one by Mara up on the chin, but no cuts this time for anybody, and no penalties.
So play moves on, and Lemieux has it in neutral ice. Tony Amonte. Amonte hit on the play nicely by Nick Schultz. Schultz a scratch the other night, back in the lineup here tonight. Walls. Benisic is out of the lineup again this evening, and Laaksonen will leave for Schultz. Back to Laaksonen. Veilleux. Veilleux looking for his first NHL goal. Ronning has a couple of points tonight. Be nice to have the same type of offensive output tomorrow against the high-flying Colorado Avalanche, who are undoubtedly sitting at home watching this game tonight. Bob Hartley and the coaching staff of that powerhouse Western Conference team. 13-13 remains. Here in regulation time, Doan finishes his check on Bombardier. The puck hit a player in the Phoenix bench, and we will hit a commercial timeout. At the Mall of America and at all Ticketmaster locations. Log on to wild.com. Halloween night, San Jose. Some tickets remain. Hope you can be with us. Minnesota Wild in control here. They have tied a franchise best with 6 goals on the evening. They had 6 goals against the Florida Panthers last year when Brett Hennigan was still a Panther coming into town, and Dwayne Sutter was still the head coach. Ronning will work it. Gabrick is not quite in the neighborhood of Daryl Sittler's 10-point effort back in 1976 with the Maple Leafs. But he's more than halfway there.
He's getting there. Like I said, still front runner.
Yes, I kind of guessed that perhaps the record for most points in a game was held by the Coyotes' managing partner. That being number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Langkow. Suchi. Shot towards the net and held onto by Manny Fernandez. Our Minnesota Lottery game summary. Brunette with 2 goals this evening. Marian Gabrick, 2 goals, 4 assists. He has factored in every goal tonight.
Well, Gabrick just been Johnny on the spot. Nice low shot to the right side of Boucher, and then on the back door, a great feed over the glove of Boucher on a rolling puck And those are his 2 goals. He's factored in on the rest by getting assists.
Mara, oh my, that stick broke right in the shaft area.
It looked like
went
it
flying back. Oh,
came out of the shaft.
Johnson got hammered by Johnson. And Paul Mara comes in. And Johnson will be done there, and Mike Johnson comes in. There are a lot of Johnsons right now.
Oh.
Matt Johnson hit Mike Johnson hard. And Paul Mara came in, and Johnson will be done for the night if they call a fighting penalty here.
Well, the gloves came off, but not a lot of punches were thrown. See how this plays out, but just looking where Johnson's coming into the play right there, and that's questionable. He's gone, I think.
Yeah, Matt Johnson is done for the evening. Manny Fernandez will give him a tap on the shin pads. 2 fights, and then that one, if that's, you know, obviously that's considered a fight. It's the major penalty, and that's it.
Well, this is Matt Johnson. It just gets Johnson, and he catches his chin on the dasher. That's why he went down so hard. Lemaire, certainly you have to think that he wants to just have this clock run down as quickly as possible. He's up 6-1, and he's got a game tomorrow against Colorado. That's a 5-minute major to Matt Johnson. And so that's why he's gone. And it's probably a charging. But
Darren's up here. He'll give us the official word. Wild travel to Denver tonight and return to Fox Sports Net tomorrow with a Stern test to end this 3-game road trip. Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, and the Colorado Avalanche will play host to Cliff Ronning and the Minnesota Wild. Live coverage from Denver begins at 8 o'clock. Right here on Fox Sports Net tomorrow night, your home of the Minnesota Wild.
well, every game we keep saying, well, this will be a great test and this will be a great test. And so far, the Minnesota Wild are passing a lot of these tests. Even the game against Detroit, they made mistakes that cost them, but they still played a solid game, jumped out 2-0 and just didn't hold on to it. But you know, they're passing a lot of these tests and they're making a lot of people turn their heads. And tomorrow will be another test. It'll be a very big one.
Well, you want to, as we have a moment here, Mike, and we can have a little fun, obviously, in the last 12 minutes of a lopsided game in which the Wild is in control of, and that makes it even more enjoyable for our fans at home. We'll play a little point-counterpoint, though, on how this season has gone so far. Bouncing puck over Markov. 5-minute major, so a long power play opportunity for the Phoenix Coyotes in which they can score as many power play goals as humanly possible. Cross the line offside. All right, Boston came in without Kyle McLaren, without Byron Defoe. St. Louis without Chris Pronger. Brent Johnson did not play that night. Florida, all right? Now you go to Dallas. Dallas, pretty solid team. Didn't make the playoffs last year, though, right? Okay. Then you go to Detroit. We talked about that. Calgary, a non-playoff team. Chicago, a playoff team last year, but without Eric Daze, their leading scorer from a year ago, and a Phoenix team without 6 regulars. So if you want to play point-counterpoint, one can say that the stiffest tests, Colorado, San Jose, Vancouver, are still ahead. Agree or disagree?
I agree with you, but you know, and there's one good
and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take anything away from the achievements, as you know.
But the one good thing about that, Mike, is that a lot of those things, or most of those things that you pointed out, those will rectify themselves once those teams start playing each other. And so having beaten them now really factors in down the road, because those teams will get stronger, will get healthy, and then they'll start beating each other. And getting these points now will really be a big factor.
No question about it. The Wild are getting the job done. And hey, it's not like a third-year team is guaranteed to win any games. So don't get me wrong, but those who have been critical should be critical no longer. But the Wild know they've got a big one tomorrow. Jacques Lemaire will spin all 4 lines right now, try to save some legs, conserve some energy for tomorrow night. Having that luxury, obviously, with a 5-goal lead on the road. Gabrick pushes ahead. This is a shorthanded opportunity for Gabrick. Gabrick bombardier. Save made by Brian Boucher. That's the best scoring opportunity on this Phoenix 5-minute power play. And it belonged to Brad Bombardier. Ladislav Nagy. Damon Langkow behind the net to Mike Johnson. He's fine after the hit by Matt Johnson. Nagy has it near side boards for Phoenix. Nagy lets it rip. Rebound, Langkow. Fernandez had the pads down. Schultz in front, Johnson. Fernandez trying to gain himself a vision of the puck holder, Claude Lemieux. To Darren Quint, newly signed and reacquired, if you will, by Phoenix. Kuba sends it up and out of the zone.
And although they are killing off a penalty, it is a good way to wind the clock down because there's still 10 minutes left in this hockey game. Not so much a lot of time for a comeback bid, but you know, in games like this where they're lopsided, it's very difficult for guys to stay into it. It's a time when bad habits are formed sometimes.
Near side, Brian Savage. Savage feeds it to Markov. Big drive, good pad save, Fernandez. Fernandez a perfect 4-0 on this season. About to go to 5-0 unless a major miracle occurs, which would tie his career best, a 5-game winning streak. Cleared up towards Pascal Dupuis, and Dupuis gets it out officially, Mike, at 8:04 of that period. The penalties to Johnson: 5 minutes for hitting from behind, 2-minute roughing, and a game misconduct. For Paul Mera, he also picked up a 2-minute roughing penalty.
So Johnson really racked up the minutes this evening.
Yep. Figure 5, 10, 15, 17, and a game misconduct. 17, Kuba pushes down Kelly Buchberger. Gabrick able to slide it off the boards and out of danger. Wild have done a nice job killing off the first 3+ minutes of the Johnson major penalty. Schultz will clear again.
And if you're looking for positives in different situations, even though this is a 5-minute major, it gives the Wild an opportunity to roll some guys through the penalty kill to see who can do that, and also a little more practice in that department. So I guess you want to look at silver linings. So far they've done a great job here on this penalty kill.
Now if you joined us late, Wild led 3-1 after 1. They led 5-1 after 2 and now lead 6-1. Brunette, Gabrick scoring in the first along with Dupuis, Gabrick and Walls in the second, and Brunette again here in the third.
And although it's subjective to some degree, shots on goal unofficially 33-27 for the Coyotes. This will mark another game where the Wild look like they're going to win, and yet they've been outshot. I don't think that they've outshot anybody this year yet in a game, but they've still come out on the right side of the score, which is commendable because they're making the best of their chances.
Now Gabrick, as you said, had a history of playing well against Phoenix. Lemieux's shot was blocked. Nagy fires it well wide. Gabrick had 6 points in 4 games played against Phoenix coming into tonight. He's had 6 points tonight, so 12 points in 5 games with a little time left still for some more potential damage. Now 1:12 remains in this power play, a 5-minute major, and the Coyotes have yet to score. Dowd neutralized miscommunication by Phoenix and a bad pass towards Nagy. You just burn the tape and forget about this one if you're Phoenix.
Well, you have to learn from every game, even if they're ones like this. But yes, I think they're looking a little forward to having some more healthy bodies in the lineup, guys that will be here on a regular basis.
Well, they're without Ossi Vannanen tonight, but he has just a bruised foot. Simpson's about a week away, but it's going to be a long time for Burke, a long time for Kolanos, long time for Berehowski until March, and Brad May till mid-December. Johnson feeds it in front. Buchberger jumps on the loose puck, gets it behind Mike Johnson. He feathers to Ladislav Nagy. Buchberger, Nagy. Puck bounces right over the stick to Ladislav Nagy, and now there's 10 seconds left in this man-on advantage. For
Phoenix, if you want to look at some kind of silver lining, they do go on the road, and at least they've won there this year. And they play 9 after this next trip. 9 of their 11 East games will be over with.
Wilson, and what a save by Manny Fernandez. Wilson had a chance, and Fernandez said no. Minnesota Wild, they will have 13 on the season with tonight's 6th victory, and to play Colorado in a home-and-home series tomorrow and then Tuesday, both games right here on Fox Sports Net. Gloved by Brian Boucher and slipped ahead to Danny Markov. 6:34 as time ticks down. Brian Savage, Lemieux, now it's Bombardier, and Bombardier bumps it out of the zone. So the Wild successfully kill off the 5-minute major.
Well, Mike, We talked a lot about Manny Fernandez this evening. Another goaltender that we'll likely see tomorrow evening. Dwayne Rollison made 24 saves the other night against Chicago for his first win of the season. It's always good to get that first one out of the way. He's now 1-1-1 and will be tested tomorrow evening against Colorado. And if you think that shot looks funny, it is, because he's not on the bench, because the benches here are so small that the backup goaltender sits in the hallway behind. He's actually backing up Manny Fernandez literally because he's behind him, behind the boards.
He is a spectator almost this evening. Patrick Desrochers, the backup goaltender for the Phoenix Coyotes, with the injury to Burke. And a tough night for Brian Boucher, the American 25-year-old and former Philadelphia Flyer. Buckberger trying to get to the puck first. Brown says he touched it, but the icing was waved off. 5:43 remains. Mike Goldberg, Mike Greenlay, Clay Matvick. Been an entertaining night. If you are a Wild fan, and if you're watching us in Minnesota, you better darn well be a Wild fan. There is the icing, and we will step aside. Gabrick, second leading scorer a year ago, top goal scorer for the Minnesota Wild. And he will burst himself into the team lead in points this evening. Almost able to cheat that one and get Radoslav Suchy. Mike Johnson now. 5:18 remains in regulation time. Pierre-Marc Bouchard. Bouchard across the line. Suchy stayed right in his face. Now it's played near side. Gabrick knocked down by Suchy, and Suchy will push it ahead. Across the line, Johnson, Langkow, shot over the glove hand of Manny Fernandez. Nagy right in front of Fernandez. Now Nagy behind the net. Ladislav Nagy. Nagy in his 4th NHL season. It's Nagy, tripped up. And play will go on. Gabrick. Gabrick moves ahead, trying to move around Danny Markov. Markov pokes it aside and gains the loose puck. Headman over to Danny Markov. Markov missing the playoffs last year. That was a huge loss for this Phoenix team in that series against the San Jose Sharks. Wilson coming across the line. Sekris trying to bump it past his skate. Couldn't do it. Veilleux, though, ahead towards Loxinen. You know, it was the McCult, Walls, and Loxinen line in those couple of wins before the road trip, Mike, and now McCult's hurt. And it's really been Gabrick and Brunette and Ronning who have taken over since. Wilson again robbed right on the doorstep by Fernandez. He kept the pad in place.
I think the key word there is depth, because when you need a line to step up, and they do, that shows that you have the kind of depth in your lineup that's going to win hockey games.
Wild had 10 players coming into tonight that have had multi-point games already this season. Across the line comes Darcy Hordichuk. Drop pass, shot by Doan. That was wide. And Ronning will bring it ahead. 3:34 remains. Wild lead 6-1. Ronning, gloved by Boucher, and he will hold on. Our Dodge play of the game. We take you back to the early part of the second period in that save I mentioned.
Yeah, a save, a couple saves, and then Kuba will jump out of the air, and Zoltak will move it up the boards. Gabrick will give it to Schultz. This is the longest give and go you're going to see, because Gabrick will get it back as he drives to the net, and he was rewarded his second goal of the game. He added a few assists and now has 6 points in this hockey game.
Our Dodge play of the game, as selected by Tyler Knight in our master control studio at Fox Sports Net. Kuba now holds and bumps ahead. Walls brings it into the zone. Amante takes it off his skate, though, and Amante feeds to Claude Lemieux. Brian Savage on the near side. Savage, former Miami of Ohio Redskin, or was he a Red Hawk at that point? CCHA standout. Amante trying to slap at the puck, and Fernandez will hold on. Mike, let's revisit your Hardy's game plan, and it has gone pretty much to perfection.
Well, 15.1% coming into this game, and the shooting percentage, and then we talked about what it's going to mean if we get some good shots on goal and make them count. Well, 6 goals on 30 shots, that's 21%. That's better. They're already #1 in the league. Manny certainly stood on his head this evening, making all the saves that he needed to. And of course, Tony Amante, we said no Tony Award. Well, He's not getting one tonight.
Nope, he has got 0 points. If Marion's name were Tony, there would be a Tony Award for Tony Gabrick, but it's not, as the hand pass is called.
Taking a quick peek here, Manny 34 of 35 this evening. Tony Amonte did not factor anywhere. 21%, 6 goals on 30 shots. And as I mentioned, the Wild already led the NHL coming into this game in terms of shooting percentage. And now they will continue to with that 21% this evening.
Darren Quint takes and passes it across to the captain, Teppo Numminen, the Iron Finn. Buckberger in on Jim Dowd. Buckberger shoves on Dowd. Teammates in Edmonton. Behind the net, it's Brad Brown. Hordichuk. Nazarov. Nazarov shot through the creases wide. Just over 2 minutes remain. Brown gloves. Hordichuk finishes his check. Dowd clears. That one touch with a high stick, and it's whistled down. For Manny Fernandez, he will join Nikolai Khabibulin as the only goalies at 5-0 on this young season. Martin Brodeur leads the league with 6 wins at 6-1. Now Brodeur and the Devils defeated Tampa Bay earlier tonight, 5-1 to hand the Lightning their first loss. But Kevin Hodson, former Detroit Red Wing, was in the net for Tampa Bay, not Nikolai Khabibulin. So the former Phoenix netminder is 5-0. And Manny Fernandez will be the same in 1 minute and 56 seconds. My boy Darren rocks. Full on straight. Now it is played by Zoltar. Bouchard was tying up Palmera. Wild came in with the best record in the Western Conference. Tampa Bay was undefeated, but not untied. And Tampa Bay has lost tonight. Veilleux across the line to Bouchard. 1:26 on the clock. Johnson tugs on Schultz. Puck played by Nagy. And that pass there, shot deflected off the stick of Schultz and past the back of the net. Johnson goes down. Penalty going to be called on Nick Schultz. His stick breaks. And we will have a break with 1:12 remaining on the clock.
Tripping going to be the call, and Schultz just got a little too much of the stick, even breaking it on the legs of Johnson. Schultz with an assist tonight, but this just a little too vigorous as he chops across the feet and the stick of Johnson as he skates to the corner to pick up the puck.
One of the things that should be pointed out, Mike, is in recent matchups, Chicago had been very dominant against Minnesota. They had won 3 meetings in a row. Phoenix, the same, had been a dominant team against the Minnesota Wild.
What about Calgary?
Yeah, Calgary the same. Exactly. Calgary won, what was it, 4 of the 5 meetings last year. And now those 3 teams are going to go down to defeat at the hands of the Minnesota Wild. So reversing some trends and sending some continued messages. Power play to pretty much conclude this game for Savage, Folk, and the Phoenix Coyotes. Savage behind Shane Doan. Bounced over Monty's stick. Folk the shot. That's wide. Savage spins. And that same spot is shut down by Manny Fernandez. 30 seconds remains in the contest. Bombardier pushes on Savage. Play goes on. Monty still no Tony Award as Fernandez makes the save. And the whistle will sound. Hand pass called.
Well, Manny Fernandez, it's a 6-1 lead, but it could have been closer. Manny Fernandez has played solid all game, and they're a great pad save. Amonte is very dangerous in that situation when he's walking to the net. And he walked out all alone, and Fernandez was equal to the task there as he's been all evening long. And he's going to go 5-0 on this young season.
21.7 seconds remains. Kuba takes it. Touched by the hand. And one more stoppage, 13 seconds left.
Well, this is definitely a good confidence builder for this hockey team. Everyone played solid. There's some guys that had tremendous performances, as we spoke of all night. And you can learn from winning. I know they say that you learn a lot from losing and learn a lot from making mistakes, but I think Jacques Lemaire knows that you can learn a heck of a lot from winning as well, and it's certainly a better feeling.
Now consider the 7-0-1 training camp, the preseason, remember?
Yeah, we talked about momentum,
one loss since this year 3 has begun. Preseason included. Manny Fernandez is 5-0. The only unbeaten and only untied goaltender in the National Hockey League. He ties his career best with a 5-game win streak, and Marian Gaborik sets a franchise record with 6 points on the evening, factoring in every Minnesota goal. 2 goals and 4 assists for young Marian Gaborik.
Well, these coaches have to be happy as they go to a very tough opponent this evening. They'll fly to Colorado and play the Avalanche tomorrow, but you got to take a lot of confidence out of this hockey game.
It was one of the most embarrassing defeats in Wild history, losing in this building 7-1 last year. But for the first time, the Wild conquer America West. They win 6-1. Of the Sun, Minnesota wins 6-1. For my partner Mike Greenlay and Clay Matvick, Mike Colbert saying so long from Phoenix, where Marian Gaborik sets a franchise record with 6 points in the game. The Wild will return to Fox Sports Net tomorrow night from Denver, Colorado, where they'll skate against Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, and the Colorado Avalanche. Live coverage begins at 8 o'clock. You've been watching Fox Sports Net, your home in the Minnesota Wild. Coming up next, Pac-10 football, Washington State at Arizona. Let's send you to Barry Tompkins and Warren Moon. Good